Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling one of America's most legendary and, let's be honest, most intimidating hikes, Angel's Landing. We're going to find out if its super dangerous reputation is actually built on a myth. Okay, so let's get right into it. The whole story of Angel's Landing is just as epic as the hike itself. I mean, it got its name back in 1916 when an explorer looked up and said, hey, only an angel could land on that thing. And you know what? The name totally stuck. And look, it's a bucket list hike for a very good reason. We're talking about unbelievable 360-degree views of Zion Canyon from way up high, like 1,500 feet above the river. But it's not just the pretty views that pull people in. No, it's this last half mile that really gives Angel's Landing its reputation. It's a super narrow, exposed ridge with insane drop-offs on both sides. And the only way you get across is by holding onto these chains that are literally bolted right into the rock. It's intense. So you've got this mix of absolutely stunning beauty and this real sense of danger. And that created, well, a perfect storm. It became incredibly popular, drawing adventurers from all over the globe, which created a whole new problem for Zion National Park. Check out this number. Over 5 million people visited Zion in 2021 alone. Just think about that. That massive surge of people created some serious traffic jams on the trails, especially on that narrow path up to Angel's Landing. So what do? Well, in 2022, the National Park Service stepped in. Citing, and I'm quoting here, concerns about crowding and congestion, they launched a lottery system. You had to get a permit to hike. And the thinking behind it seemed pretty straightforward, right? Fewer people should mean a safer hike. But here's the big question. Was crowding actually the real danger? A really interesting study that came out in 2026 decided to look into that. And honestly, what they found kind of flips the whole idea on its head. So what these researchers did was pretty incredible. They went back and dug through every official report and news story for all 16 fatalities on the trail over a 32-year span. They wanted to see what was really happening up there. And what they found is, well, it's pretty startling. Get this. Across all 16 of those incidents, not a single one happened on that famous chain section. And maybe even crazier, not one single report said that crowding had anything to do with it. This chart just says it all, doesn't it? The whole permit system was designed to fix a safety problem caused by crowds. But the data? It shows that crowding was responsible for exactly 0% of these tragic events. The real danger was hiding somewhere else completely. Okay, so if the parts of the hike that everybody talks about, the chains, the crowds, if those aren't the main problem, then what is? What is the actual risk on Angel's Landing? The study points to something totally different. It looks like we've all been a little bit focused on the wrong things. What the study actually found was that the real risks had more to do with our own individual behavior, things that happen away from the big crowds in those trains. In fact, you're not going to believe this, but a full 44% of the fatal incidents happened at the summit. You know, that big, relatively flat area at the top where you think you're safe. It's the spot where maybe people feel like they can finally relax and let their guard down. So here's the bottom line. The data is telling us that our own personal choices are a way bigger factor than how crowded the trail is. We're talking about moments of just not paying attention or taking a risk, like getting a little too close to the edge for that perfect photo. That seems to be the real danger. So what do we do with all this information? How should we think about this hike now? It's not about saying the trail isn't serious, not at all. It's about making sure we're focused on the right kind of serious. Look, safety absolutely starts with the basics you see here. Good boots, plenty of water, letting someone know where you're going, that's all non-negotiable. But what this new research tells us is that maybe the most important piece of gear you can bring is your brain. It's about being mentally switched on for the entire hike. It's knowing that reaching the summit isn't the finish line for your attention. It's a place where being too comfortable could be the biggest risk of all. So the takeaway here isn't that the trail is perfectly safe. It's that the danger is just different than the story we've been told. And knowing that the risk comes from exposure and the choices we make, instead of just slipping on a chain, that's actually empowering. It means we can hike with respect and awareness and keep our focus where it truly matters, on every single step we take. And all of this leaves us with a really big, important question, not just for Angel's Landing, but for how we handle adventure anywhere. Are we putting safety measures in place to manage what feels dangerous,
or what's actually dangerous? Answering that could change everything about how we protect our wild places and ourselves.